Hi, everyone, and welcome to SQM Picks. I'm David Lipton. For those of you new to SQM Picks, our company SQM first started a blog several years ago to highlight businesses that provide outstanding customer service. Businesses that have been featured range from small mom and pop companies to some of the larger international brands. Highlighted companies come from a number of different industries, including restaurants, retail stores, medical offices, lawyers, and various tourist attractions. We've also featured an auto body shop and a junkyard in the blogs, which just goes to prove that any business can provide outstanding service. Our guest today is Leah Zlatkin, COO and broker at Mortgage Outlet. As the name might suggest, Mortgage Outlet offers a variety of financial and mortgage services. Leah, welcome to SQM Picks.
Thank you so much for having me, David. I'm really excited to be here.
So, tell us a little bit about the business, where are you located, and tell us more about the various products or services that you provide or offer.
So we're located in Midtown Toronto, but we do service everybody across Canada. I'm actually licensed in multiple provinces across Canada and can do mortgages all the way from BC over to our friends on the West Coast, all the way to the East Coast. So everywhere and in between. And in terms of the kind of business I run, I do mortgages for families, whether it be residential or even some mixed use, so residential commercial in the GTA as well as across Canada.
So, Leah, one question on everybody's mind is what's the difference between fixed and variable rate mortgages?
Yeah, that's a great question and one I get a lot. With a fixed rate, you're going to pay the same amount for the entire duration of your term. So whatever rate you're signing up for today on your contract is going to be your rate for the entire term. Fixed rates typically follow the bond yield. So when you're looking at what your rates could be, you're going to want to look towards the 5-year bond yield. Variable rates will fluctuate over time and they're impacted by the prime rate. So you get a discount off of the prime rate, which is set by the Bank of Canada and often changes. There's about 6 times a year when the Bank of Canada may change their rate, either up or down, at which point either the amount that you're paying per month may change, or alternatively, the entire amortization of your mortgage may extend or decrease based on whether the rates go up or down. So if you're somebody who doesn't mind a little bit of volatility and wants to make a bet on the market that things are going to come down, you might go variable. But if you're somebody who kind of likes to play it safe, fixed is probably the option for you.
Interesting. Okay. So, another question probably on everybody's mind is can you get a mortgage if you're self employed or if you're perhaps not working?
Yeah, that's a great question. When it comes to getting a mortgage, lots of people with lots of different life circumstances can get approved. When it comes to getting a mortgage as a business owner, sometimes depending on how you're declaring your taxes or how you're paying yourself, you may or may not qualify for a mortgage. If you're fairly consistent in the way that you're paying yourself, whether it be via dividends or whether it be, the same standard payment every single year for at least 2 years, most of the time you can qualify for a mortgage. There's also a lot of options for people who may not have conventional employment, like equity-based lending. So that's based on the assets that you own, like other homes or the home itself. There's reverse mortgages for people who may just have a home and, be closer towards the end of their lifespan. And then, of course, there's mortgages for people who have old age security, pension income, even disability income can help you qualify for a mortgage. So there's lots of options for people, every kind of option that you can imagine.
Interesting. Good to know. So, as you know, our company provides different types of mystery shopping services, different audits, inspections. We're in the research business, or as I often say, we're in the information business. A lot of the people that I work with, they like going out and finding the deals, whether it's at a hotel, whether it's at a retail store for clothes, and probably when it comes to banking. So, the question probably on a lot of people's mind is how do you get the best deal? How do you find the best deal? How do you know you're getting the best rate?
Yeah, so I mean, I've always prided myself on finding the best deals. I love to go out there and look for the best rate or the best product. When it comes to mortgages, not all products are equal. So definitely you want to look at which product suits you and your family best. But the best way to actually get a great deal on a mortgage is by doing your research. And no better person is going to help you than a broker. When you go to the bank, you're going to one institution and you only have access to their products and their rates. But if you go to a broker, a mortgage broker like myself, you actually have access to all the different banks and all the different products. So I often compare this to Uber Eats. When, it's Friday night and your husband wants one thing and you want something different, well, he wants Swiss Chalet, you want Freshie. it's going to be hard to sort of meet everybody's needs. But if you call Uber Eats, you can get Freshie for you, you can get Swiss Chalet for him. A broker is much the same way. The brokers have access to all the different restaurants, they have access to all the different menus, and they can help you get exactly what you need. And they can also tell you what everybody else is paying for it.
Now, we talked a little bit before we actually started recording today, and this is something that I guess we didn't speak about, but I know that when I'm having conversations with some of my friends, they often bring this up is they decide to go the way of the banks or some of the well-known financial institutions, and they don't want their mortgage being held by, the Bank of Timbuktu or the bank in the middle of nowhere. And I've often been left scratching my head because it really doesn't matter to the person who is trying to obtain the mortgage where their mortgage is. I mean, it's more of a concern maybe for the bank because you're paying them, you have their money, and it's kind of the reverse. Is there any reason not to consider some of those lenders that might not be as well known as a bank or some of the larger financial institutions? Is there any reason not to deal with the Bank of Timbuktu or the Bank of Middle of Nowhere through you or your colleagues?
Well, I mean, brokers have access to the big six as well. So when it comes to big banks in Canada, definitely there's a lot of people who have some loyalty. They want to bank at a big green bank or a big red bank and they have some loyalty there. There's absolutely that. And, brokers can help with that kind of thing if you want to go to a specific bank. But in terms of, exactly what you said, you're borrowing money from them. They're not borrowing money from you. So when it comes to banking with any institution, well, if they're able to do mortgages or deal in mortgages in Canada, they're a pretty safe bet. The regulations are very, very strict across Canada and especially in Ontario. We've got a governing board of FSRA, and anybody who's allowed to lend on mortgages in Canada is probably a safe place for you to borrow your money and, use them as a mortgage provider for you. When it comes to some of the different banks, there can be caveats. So you definitely want to talk to your mortgage broker about, some of the niches or some of the specifics about those banks. So there are some banks that have really, really great rock bottom rates, but you have to actually be located 75 kilometers from a branch of that bank. So you may not actually even be eligible to lend or to borrow from that bank, depending on where you live. So certainly there are some things that may prohibit you from working with a very specific lender. But oftentimes, if a broker is recommending them, you can ask about, the watch outs. But really, there's no watch out when it comes to them lending you their money.
Yep.
You're going to get the best deal or the best product based on what they have to offer, as long as they can meet your
Interesting.
eligibility.
So one more question for you. How do you build strong relationships with your clients?
Well, I mean, you're in the client service business, so you know more than anyone. I think that the first step is listening. So when I get a client on the phone, I listen to what their needs are. I listen to what their family's looking for. I try and help them understand, what is their next 3 to 5 year plan. If they plan on moving at some point in the next 5 years, we're probably not going to lock them into a fixed product. We're probably going to put them with a variable product because we know they need flexibility. So listening to what their needs are and understanding how we can best help their family is the first step. Beyond that, I treat people the way I would like to be treated. And I think that goes a long way. I end up with a huge line of referral clients because everybody who works with me, they send their brother, they send their sister, they send their mother to work with me because, I care about my clients and I try to help them the same way I would help my own family.
Interesting. Listen, I've known you for many, many years. It's always interesting chatting with you and looking at the different changes in trends, what's going on in mortgages, what's going on in the financial industry. Always a pleasure. You've given me some great advice and direction over the years. While your contact information is going to show up on the screen, please tell everyone how they could connect with you or the business.
Yeah, absolutely. The best way to reach me is always by phone, 416-567-2552. Alternatively, if you don't like talking on the phone, you can always email me at Leah, Leah, at Mortgage Outlet, Mortgage, outlet.ca. Thanks so much.
Perfect. Thanks a lot. On that note, I want to thank everybody for watching another episode of SQM Picks. Since we're always on the lookout for companies that provide outstanding customer service, if you know of any that you would like to nominate, please send an email about the business to sqmpicks@sqm.ca. Thanks again for joining us, and look for another company to be featured on SQM Picks shortly.